Hey, y'all. Remember this morning when we were talking about Blake Snell? Wouldn't it be nice if the Astros got him? Well, apparently, Jose Urquidy left today's start with a elbow injury. We don't know how serious the elbow injury is, but we'll discuss it on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Jainer Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talkstros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Unfortunately, it looks like there's a little bit of bad news, but the good news is that Framber Valdez was named the opening day starter for the Houston Astros, and Nestor Cortes was named the opening day starter for the New York Yankees. Not that a lot of y'all cared, but you know what y'all do care about? You do care about the Locked On Astros podcast. So thank you for making us your first listen daily and making us part of your everyday routine and listening to us on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast and go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube and give us a big fat thumbs up while you're on there. So, unfortunately today, Jose Urquidy was making a start in the minor league camp. This is something they do regularly with the main starters, the guys that have made the team. They want to see what some of the relievers can do in camp and so they need some more innings. So what they did was they wanted to see what Brandon Bielak could do versus Jose Urquidy. They know what he can do. So he was supposed to pitch 60 pitches in this minor league game, and he pulled himself out. Yes, I said that right. He pulled himself out after 43 pitches and complaining with a sore elbow. So this is a big issue for the Houston Astros, who are already shorthanded. JP France, he's supposed to pitch in tomorrow's game for his first live game action of the preseason. But we still are waiting for Justin Verlander to make his first appearance of spring training. So this is a big issue. And Joe Espada said this is not ideal, but they're not going to rush into anything. They're not going to say that this is anything that's going to require anything. This is just something that they're going to get looked at, and then they'll get evaluated, and then they'll let us know later on. But Jose Urquidy was supposed to be, if not the number 3 guy in Astros rotation, the 4 or 5 guy. And this is a guy that was supposed to have a bounce back season this year after missing 3 months last year with the shoulder injury. So if Jose Urquidy is out, that is going to further test the Astros' depth in the rotation, which is already being tested with Justin Verlander. And so what the purpose of this podcast is to say, what is next? We know that Urquidy was having great spring training. We know that Christian Javier has been good. We know that that Framber Valdez has been looking pretty good. Hunter Brown has shown signs. We don't know really what to expect from JP France yet, so that's something to be looking into yet. But right now, we're looking to see what happens with Jose Urquidy. Urquidy is a big part of this Astros rotation. And so now you might have to deal with somebody like a Ronel Blanco in the rotation or something, or maybe Brandon Bielak if this injury is going to put Urquidy out for a long term. So hopefully this is not an issue. And I know in an earlier episode, we did talk about the Astros possibly signing Blake Snell. This is still a possibility, and there's other options that we'll talk about. But no, KB said, did we go ahead and sign Blake Snell yet? No, we have not. And there is also a caveat if we do sign Blake Snell, just like with Josh Hader, he's signed a qualifying offer. So same thing with Blake Snell. I believe that there is a pick that is tied to him too. So not only are you going to lose that pick if you sign Josh Hader, And if you go over the luxury tax threshold, you'll be your draft pick next year will be pushed back 10 spots, but you'll also lose a pick for signing Blake Snell. So for the Astros to do that, it's going to take a lot. So I know that's something that is something Astros are taking consideration. But I guess when you say gas to the pedal or to the floor, whatever the phrase was Dana Brown used, you're looking to win. And looking at who the Astros are facing in the first 20 games, it's not pretty. You're facing the Rangers, you're facing the Braves, you're facing the Yankees, and you're doing a stretch of 22 games from 22 games and 23 games from April 30th to May 22nd. And you're beginning with 20 games and 21 games to start the season. So it's going to be basically a lot of baseball, and you're going to need a sixth starter. So right now, this is testing the Astros' depth. And right now, they do not have that right now. Unfortunately, with Justin Verlander coming in behind, being behind the eight ball a little bit, you're kind of got caught with your pants down, so to speak. You don't really have enough pitching, so to speak. Ronel Blanco has looked great. I would be more than happy to have him in the rotation for now. He is a fill-in piece. I would have been more happy with him being a swing man, somebody that can fill in as a sixth starter, go back and forth between the bullpen. But Ronel Blanco has looked good. But now we're down two starters if Jose Urquidy is out for any length of time. A little update to Garrett Cole. There's no tear in his elbow, so that means that the doctors have prescribed him some rest. And so he's only going to miss about 1 to 2 months. So that's a big break for the New York Yankees. There are some other options out there besides Blake Snell. We'll talk about them in a second. And so we'll also talk some more about Framber Valdez being named the opening day starter. But thank you for joining me at 4:17 on Friday afternoon. I know everybody's getting ready for all the excitement this weekend. And thank you once again for joining. Hey guys, let's go and talk about FanDuel. I mean, the season's right around the corner, and everybody wants to get out there and make their bets and say, okay, who's going to have more home runs? Is Shohei Ohtani? Is Yordan Alvarez? Who's going to win more games? Are the Rangers? Are the Astros? Are the Mariners? What's going to happen? There's so many different ways you can bet on baseball out there. So say goodbye to busted brackets, because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney of the March Madness, whether you're betting on a big upset or on a one seed. It's about time to go dancing on America's #1 sports book. U of H Cougs, they're number one. So how far are they going to go in this tournament? You can bet on that. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use in point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Just visit fanduel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut the nets down. And hopefully, as a former Coug, hopefully they go ahead and win it all, because that would be awesome. You know, if you need a place to watch it, why don't you check out Fire TV? It's awesome. Don't forget that the Locked On Sports Day is going to be on Fire TV as well. But Fire TV is your destination for all sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experience with smart TVs, as well as Fire TV sticks that you can just plug into your existing TVs. You know, the ones with the antennas you have to adjust. So they kind of work with all the different models TVs you have. So they provide access to millions of movies, to TV episodes, as well as free and live TV, whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament. You're going to want to have the Fire TV. Fire TV recently created the Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels let you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, and NBA. So go and check them out. All right. So, guys, for the rest of this podcast, I want to kind of gauge your how do you feel right now? You have Verlander already missing a little bit of time. Who do you think the Astros need to go after? Blake Snell. I've seen a lot of comments saying that Blake Snell is not the option. He walks too many batters. I saw somebody said that people that are going after Blake Snell are smoking something if they think he's going to help the Houston Astros. I don't know what the answer is, guys, but I know that especially if Urquidy is hurt, or is it just soreness? Is it just general soreness? Is it something that pitchers are used to, or is it something that they're really concerned about? I think only the Astros know. So, what is your level of concern right now? So, go and put that in the chat right now. So, thank you, Earl. Go ahead, hit the like button, y'all, as well. So, let's go ahead and talk about what are the other options. So, I know that we've spent most of the time on Blake Snell, and I actually looked up his market value according to Spotrac, and his market value is actually 24 million. So I know we talked about 35 million, but if you're going to sign him to a short-term deal with some opt-outs, you're going to have to give him more than his market value. And so I think that's so if his market value is about 24 million, to get him to sign with the Houston Astros for maybe a 3-year deal, which is something I think Jim Crane would be more interested in, you'd have to sign him for 30 million per year, something like that. So let's go and talk about Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery is somebody that killed the Astros last year in the playoff, and I don't want him to go at any contender that could face the Astros in the playoffs. So I'm actually surprised that he's still on the market right now. But I think that goes to show that all the teams are kind of where the Astros are. They need more starting pitching, but also they don't want to go over that luxury tax threshold. So they're having the same issue. And so right now, Montgomery's market value is about 18, let me round it up, 18.5 million. So let's say if you're going to do a short-term deal for Montgomery, I don't know if he's be as open for that, but I know Spotrac says 8 years, about $110 million for him. So if you're going to do a 3-year deal to maybe bring him in to kind of help the Astros over the next 3 years, I think you're going to probably have to give him about 25 million or maybe 24 million to kind of get him to come to play for a shorter term deal. So I think that's what the Astros will have to do. If they want to have a shorter term deal, you're going to go ahead and have to pay them a little bit more. The other names out there are Mike Lorenzen. He's somebody that pitched for a couple teams last year, including the Phillies. He did have a no-hitter last year, and he could be had for a market value of 9.2 million. That's what Spotrac says. And so his 3-year market value would be about 27.6 million. So he's a cheap option out there. So if you just want somebody to fill in, just somebody to kind of fill in the gap just for right now until your guys get back, until the All-Star break when you get Luis Garcia back and Lance McCullers back, then that'll be an option. Mike Clevenger, this is somebody that I know Astros fans aren't too what was that line he said is when they played him, the Indians played the Astros, not that big a deal. I have that t-shirt that says it's not that big a deal or something, but his market value is $13.6 million. So are you going to pay Clevenger to come to Houston to do that? So those are the big time options. I'm sure there's some other lower pitchers out there that the Astros can go after. There's some people you can trade for, but at this point, I just don't see the Astros going out and making any trade for a starting pitcher. So for the best bang for your buck, I think at this point would be Jordan Montgomery. Blake Snell, he's got the best stuff. I know a lot of criticism I've seen today on X and Facebook has been, well, he only pitches 5 innings because he walks a lot of batters, and you need somebody that goes deep in the game. Jordan Montgomery goes deeper into games. So I think that if you're just going for the most value, I think Montgomery would be the best fit. But I don't know if he's as open to Blake Snell is on as for a short-term deal. So that's just depending on how bad the injury to Jose Urquidy is. At this point, we really don't know how bad it is. It could be just something minor. It could be something that could cost him. Same thing like with Garrett Cole. And this is why a lot of people are like, well, why aren't you celebrating Garrett Cole getting hurt? Because we don't wish injuries on other teams, because this crap will happen to us. And so we don't laugh and we don't celebrate injuries to other players. So that's something that I don't do. I don't think Brett does either. So unfortunately, this is something that you can't avoid. And this is not something that you can blame on the World Baseball Classic. So you've got a whole bunch of, you've got some internal options. You have Ronel Blanco, you have Brandon Bielak, you have Sean Dubin. They have made a total of 29 major league starts. Of course, Brandon Bielak has made the most. Dubin is behind in spring training. He kind of battles some shoulder issues. So I think that Ronel Blanco would be the first one to step into that rotation. But keep in mind, you're likely going to need a 6th starter. So that's likely going to be Brandon Bielak at this time. So your rotation as of right now, if Urquidy misses any type of time, is going to be Valdez, Javier, Brown, JP France, who has still yet to pitch in a spring training game. I know he's going to pitch tomorrow, but he hasn't built up the pitch count yet. And then Ronel Blanco. So I know that's not a bad rotation, but it's not what you needed going against teams like the Yankees, the Braves, and the Rangers. So it's something that Dana Brown is taking consideration. Now, you don't want to go out there and panic buy. You don't want to go out there and say, "Ooh, I need something." If Urquidy's just going to be out for 2 weeks. So, and I know a lot of people have talked about Trevor Bauer, and I actually did watch his documentary where he talked about some of the choices he's made in the past. And he has said the reasons why he did some of the stuff he did in the past, not necessarily the stuff that got him in trouble, but the on the field antics he did. He's just trying to be a little bit different, bring some excitement in the game. And so I did watch that documentary. So I just don't know if the Astros would do that. And so that's my take on the whole Trevor Bauer thing. I'm not going to say would I or would I not. I don't know. I think there's half of Astros Twitter would say yes, half of Astros Twitter would say no. So I just don't think the Astros would do it. If you want my honest opinion, it's not about Eric Huysman. It's about Astros. And I just don't think that they will do that, no matter how cost conscious it is with what has happened in the past with the Houston Astros. I just don't think that they would make that decision to bring in Trevor Bauer. So has he learned from his mistakes? Hopefully. Has he been punished? Yes. But I just don't think that the Astros would do that. So would I quit being an Astros fan if he came on this team? No. But it's just not something that I see the Astros doing. So that would be the most cost effective move there. But I just don't see Dana Brown and Jim Crane making that decision. So if so, somebody would have made this. Like, they saw him pitch the other day. He was pitching good. So I just think he's too much of besides everything that happened off the field, it's just not what teams would want. It's a distraction. And so I'm just going to leave it there. So right now, all we're doing is, before this game starts in about 30 minutes, we're waiting to see what exactly is going on with Jose Urquidy's elbow. Is it something minor? Is it something major? And I think the Astros will go from there on what step they need to take from here. Are they going to go with eternal options, or is it time to get all aboard the free agent board? And I can't tell you the last time there's been this many quality starters out there for the Astros or any team to get at this late in spring training. Can you remember this? Maybe at that time when Scott Boras had the spring training camp and he had them going. But Anyway, that's all I got for this special edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Make sure you go and subscribe to us. Make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go check out the Locked On Astros podcast. Brett and I will be back on Sunday talking about, hopefully we'll have some more news about Jose Urquidy. Hopefully it'll be good. It's nothing major, but until then, we'll see what happens. 14 days to opening day, and we'll talk later. Go Astros.